Anatomy of dicotyledonous stem. The transverse section of the dicot stem shows the following anatomical details. It shows the outermost layer, that is what we call the epidermis. Then it shows the cortex. Cortex consisting of three subzones, that is called as the hypodermis, cortical layers, and the innermost layer, that is the endodermis. And the stellar region consisting of the pericycle and the vascular bundle and the pith and the medullary rays. Say the dicot stem anatomy, it consisting of outermost single layered compactly arranged parenchymatous cells that forms the epidermis. In the young stem, in certain regions, the epidermis shows the presence of the stomata and the epidermis is covered by a thin layer of cuticle. And also here and there the epidermis possesses the multicellular epidermal hair is present. That is what we call the trichome is present. So this is the epidermis. Below the epidermis, a layer that is called as the hypodermis. That hypodermis is formed of collenchyma cells. Collenchymatous hypodermis. The cells are compactly arranged without intercellular spaces. Few layers of collenchymatous hypodermis is present. Means all the cells present between the epidermis and the pericycle, that is what we call as the cortex. This cortex is divided into three subzones. One is the hypodermis, another one is the cortical layers made up of thin walled parenchyma cells with intercellular spaces. Innermost layer of the cortex, that is the endodermis. Endodermis is formed of barrel shaped compactly arranged cells. This endodermis is wavy in outline, barrel shaped parenchyma cells compactly arranged, and it is single layered. The cells of the endodermis contains the starch grains, hence it is called as the starch sheath. Endodermis is also called as the starch sheath. Inside the endodermis, the region that is what we referred as the stellar region, consisting of the vascular bundle. The vascular bundle is conjoined, collateral and open, consisting of the inner side, it consisting of the xylem, protoxylem toward the center, metaxylem toward the periphery. Hence, the xylem is endark. Protoxylem toward the center, metaxylem toward the periphery, the xylem is endark. In between the xylem and phloem, a patch of meristematic tissue is present, that is the cambium. A strip of cambium present between the xylem and phloem. This is the phloem tissues. Phloem. Above the phloem, a patch of sclerenchyma is present, that is the pericycle. A similar patches of sclerenchyma that forms the pericycle. Pericycle is sclerenchymatous. So this is the sclerenchyma patch. It is in the form of a semilunar patch, sclerenchymatous pericycle. Then between the vascular bundles, parenchyma cells radiate. That is what we referred as the medullary rays. Between the vascular bundle, the parenchyma cells radiate. That is the medullary rays. At the center, consisting of the pith is made up of parenchyma cells. So this is the anatomy of the dicot stem. See the dicot stem, it consisting of outermost epidermis covered with the thin cuticle. It bears the epidermal hairs, that is what we called as the trichome. And the cortex is multi-layered. It is consisting of 3 subzones. This is the hypodermis, then the cortical layers, and the innermost, that is called as the endodermis. The hypodermis, it is formed of collenchyma cells. It provides the mechanical support to the plant organs. And below the collenchyma, that is the cortical layers, it is formed of thin walled parenchyma cells with intercellular spaces. Endodermis is the innermost layer of the cortex. The cells are rich in starch grains, so there is also called as the starch sheath. Then the stele consisting of the pericycle, the vascular bundle, the medullary rays, and the pith. Pericycle is present inside the endodermis in the form of a semilunar patch over the phloem, that is formed of sclerenchyma. And the medullary rays, it is formed of parenchyma cells. The vascular bundle is described as the conjoint vascular bundle, and it is open and endark protoxylem. Protoxylem faces the center, metaxylem toward the. So pith is the central part of the dicot stem. Let's study the anatomy of monocot stem. The anatomy of monocot stem is similar to that of the dicot, but it shows certain variations. What are the variations? Say, in case of dicot, the most important point, the vascular bundle is arranged in the form of a ring. That is the characteristic features of the dicot stem. In case of monocot, the vascular bundles are irregularly scattered. Scattered vascular bundle is seen. And the hypodermis, that is formed of sclerenchymatous hypodermis, hypodermis is sclerenchyma, and bundle sheath is formed of sclerenchyma. Vascular bundle is surrounded by the bundle sheath. That bundle sheath is also made up of sclerenchyma. Sclerenchymatous bundle sheath is present. And the vascular bundle, they are irregularly scattered. Another important point, the ground tissues, that is formed of parenchyma, a conspicuous ground tissues is present. The phloem is not associated with the phloem parenchyma. Phloem parenchyma is absent. And if you consider the vascular bundle The vascular bundle is conjoined and closed because of the absence of cambium. Between the phloem and the xylem, cambium is absent. Another important feature, presence of water-filled cavities, that is called as the lysogenous cavity, that is present in the vascular bundles. And the monocot does not show the secondary growth. Say the anatomy of monocot plant shows the outermost epidermis. So that epidermis is externally covered by the thin layer of the cuticle. Below the epidermis, hypodermis is present. This hypodermis is formed of sclerenchyma. And the vascular bundle, see the peripheral vascular bundle are smaller in sizes, central vascular bundles are larger in size. Where the vascular bundle is present, vascular bundle is scattered in the ground tissues. The vascular bundle is surrounded by sclerenchymatous bundle sheath. Each vascular bundle is conjoined and closed because of the absence of phloem, cambium. Because of the absence of cambium, it is the closed vascular bundles. In the phloem parenchyma is absent and it does not show the secondary growth. That's about the anatomy of monocotyledon's stem. Let's study the anatomy of dicot leaf, also referred as dorsiventral leaf. Dicot leaf is called as the dorsiventral leaf because both the surface of the leaf is not equally illuminated. In dicot, the upper surface of the leaf receives more amount of light than the lower surface. The leaf is held at right angles to the light rays. Hence, upper surface receive the more amount of light and lower surface receive the lesser amount of light. Hence, there is a tissue differentiation. Hence, mesophyll is differentiated into two types, where in case of dicot leaf. The anatomical details, if you see the anatomical details of dicotyledon's leaf, it shows the epidermis, the mesophyll and the vascular systems. Epidermis is single layered, made up of compactly arranged parenchyma cells. The epidermis is of two types, upper epidermis, that is called as the adaxial epidermis, and the lower epidermis, that is called as abaxial epidermis. Upper epidermis is called as the adaxial epidermis and lower epidermis is called abaxial epidermis. In the upper epidermis, outer to the epidermis there is a cuticle is present. The number of stomata very few on the upper epidermis or it may be absent. Whereas the number of stomata is more on the lower epidermis. Hence the leaf is said to be hypostomatic. What is hypostomatic leaf? The number of stomata is more on the lower epidermis, then that leaf is said to be hypostomatic. Then between the adaxial and abaxial epidermis or upper and lower epidermis, a parenchyma cells is present that contains the chloroplast that helps in synthesis of food that constitute the mesophyll tissues. Say mesophyll tissues. What is a mesophyll tissues? It is nothing but a photosynthetic parenchyma cells exist between the adaxial and abaxial epidermis. So this parenchyma cells is of two types, that is called the palisade parenchyma and the spongy parenchyma. What is a palisade parenchyma? Adaxially placed parenchyma which is elongated, arranged vertically and parallel to each other, that is called as the palisade parenchyma. Another type of parenchyma that is called as the spongy parenchyma. They are oval or rounded and loosely arranged parenchyma that extend from the palisade parenchyma up to the lower epidermis, that is the abaxial epidermis, that is what we call the spongy parenchyma. In between these spongy parenchyma, there is a large spaces and air cavities is present. So, mesophyll is differentiated into two types of parenchyma, that is palisade parenchyma and spongy parenchyma. Consider the vascular bundle. The vascular bundle is present in the veins and the midrib region. The vascular bundle is surrounded by a parenchymatous thick-walled parenchymatous cells that forms the bundle sheath. Means bundle sheath cell is parenchymatous and it is thick-walled. The phloem lies toward the lower epidermis and xylem toward the upper epidermis. Cambium is absent. And bundle sheath extension, that is formed of hypodermis. Bundle sheath extension in dicot is formed of hypodermis. So that's about the anatomy of dicot leaf. Let's study the anatomy of monocotyledons leaf, also referred as isobilateral leaf. Here both the surface of the leaf is equally illuminated to the light. Means the leaf is arranged parallel to the light rays. Hence there is no differentiation of the mesophyll tissues in monocotyledons leaf. The anatomy of monocotyledons leaf similar to that of dicotyledons leaf, but it shows certain differences. See what the differences. First, you can see the number of stomata on the epidermis. Adaxial and abaxial epidermis has the stomata. Number of stomata is equal, it is on both and upper and lower epidermis. Means stomata is equally distributed both on the upper and the lower epidermis. So that is, the leaf is said to be ampistomatic. The stomata is equally distributed both on the upper and the lower epidermis, then the leaf is said to be ampistomatic. Another differences, you can see here the bundle sheath extension. This bundle sheath extension is formed of sclerenchyma. Whereas in case of dicot leaf, bundle sheath extension is formed of the collenchyma. And the upper epidermis consisting of certain specialized cells is present, that is what we referred as the bulliform cells. Say near the upper epidermis, some of the upper epidermal cells are very enlarged, large empty colorless cells, that is what we referred as an bulliform cells. Bulliform cells. Outer to the epidermis, you can see the cuticle. Certain large colorless empty cells, that is called as bulliform cells. So these bulliform cells, when turgid conditions, has to expose the leaf surface. Under water stress, the bulliform cells become flaccid. It results in the rolling of the leaf, thereby prevent the loss of water. Bulliform cells has to prevent the water loss during the water stress. Say the vascular bundle, if you consider, the vascular bundles are of nearly same sizes because the monocot leaf shows parallel venations. Veins are of similar sizes, hence that is reflected in the size of vascular bundles. So that's about the anatomy of monocot leaf. Secondary growth. In case of dicot plant, what is the secondary growth? Increase in the thickness of the plant or diameter of the plant is called the secondary growth. We know what is a primary growth? Increase in the length of plant, that is called as the primary growth. The secondary growth in dicot plants takes place because of the tissues like the vascular cambium and cork cambium. Vascular cambium and cork cambium is responsible for secondary growth in case of dicot plant. What is secondary growth? Increase in the thickness of the plant, that is called as the secondary growth. Vascular cambium. How this vascular cambium is produced? As the name itself suggests, it produces the vascular tissues, that is the xylem, that is secondary xylem and secondary phloem. The vascular cambium produces the secondary xylem and secondary phloem. Let's study the formation of the vascular cambium. How this vascular cambium is produced? Say, the cambium which is present between the primary phloem and primary xylem, that is called as the intravascular cambium. The cambium present between the primary xylem and the primary phloem, that is called intravascular cambium. During the secondary growth, the cells of the medullary rays adjoining to the intravascular cambium becomes meristematic and forms a new cambium. That cambium is called intervascular cambium. Say, this is the intravascular cambium. This is the region where the intervascular cambium is produced. So that the intravascular cambium and intervascular cambium together forms a continuous ring, that is called as the vascular cambium. Intervascular and intravascular. Intervascular cambium is secondary in origin. Intravascular cambium, that is primary in origin. Those two cambium together forms a continuous ring, that is called as the vascular cambium. Let's study the activity of this vascular cambium. The vascular cambium thus produced cuts of a new cells both on its inner side as well as on the outer side. The cells produced on the inner side that develops into the secondary xylem, and the cells produced on the outer side that develops into the secondary phloem. Say, the vascular cambium produces the cells on the inner side that develops into the secondary xylem, produces the cells on the outer side that develops into the secondary phloem. The cambium cuts off more cells on the inner side than on the outer side. Hence, more amount of secondary xylem is added than the secondary phloem. So, this forms the bulk of the plant body. Activity of the cambium is not uniform. Cambium is more active during the spring and less active during the winter, that is in the temperate regions. Say, during the winter, the xylem elements produced is lesser with narrow cavities. That forms the autumn wood or late wood. During the winter, the cambium is less active and forms fewer xylem elements with narrow vessels, that is called as autumn wood or late wood. During the spring, cambium is more active and produces larger xylem elements with wider lumens or the cavities, that is called as the spring wood. The spring wood is formed in the spring season, that is also called as the early wood. This spring wood is lighter in color and having lighter densities, whereas autumn wood is darker in color and having higher densities. This spring wood and autumn wood appears as a concentric rings. Means spring wood alternate with the autumn wood and forms an alternate concentric rings. This is what we referred as the annual rings. The spring wood alternate with the autumn wood, and together the spring wood and autumn wood layer together represent the 1 year growth. So spring wood and autumn wood appears alternate layer, that is what we called as the annual rings. By counting the number of annual rings, we can estimate the age of the tree, that is what we called as dendrochronology. What is dendrochronology? Counting the age of the tree by counting the annual rings. That is called as the dendrochronology. In the older trees, the secondary xylem is classified into two types, that is the heartwood and the sapwood. What is an heartwood? This is the central part of the wood which is darker in color, and it is the non-conducting wood having higher densities. That wood is called as the heartwood. So this heartwood is darker in color because of the deposition of substances like the tannins, resins, oils, gums or aromatic substances. Because of this wood is resistant to microorganisms and other insects. Hence this wood is also referred as the duramen. The heartwood is also called as duramen. So heartwood provides the mechanical support, it does not conduct water. It is a non-conducting wood but provides the mechanical support, that is called as the heartwood. This is the central part, dark brown in color. So this is the non-conducting wood having higher densities. This wood is referred as the heartwood. The peripheral part of the wood, that is lighter in color and having lighter densities, that is what we called as the sapwood or albrum. Sapwood or albrum. So this sapwood is the functional wood, it helps in conduction of water and minerals. So this is about the heartwood and the sapwood, in other words duramen and albrum. Let us study the activity of cork cambium. Cork cambium is also called as phellogen, developed usually in the cortex region. Due to the activity of the vascular cambium, the pressure is built up on the cortex. The ruptured cortical cells produces a new cambium. That new cambium is called as the cork cambium or the phellogen. So this phellogen is formed of narrow, thin-walled, nearly rectangular cells. Cells are narrow, thin-walled and rectangular cells that is present in the phellogen. Phellogen is also referred as the cork cambium. So this phellogen cuts off a cells on the inner side as well as on the outer side. The cells produced by the cork cambium on the inner side develops into the secondary cortex, in other words that is called phelloderm. Secondary cortex is called phelloderm. Whereas the cells produced on the outer side becomes dead because of the deposition of suberin and forms the layer, that is the cork cells. That cork cells constitute the phellem or the cork. The cells produced on the inner side develops into the secondary cortex or phelloderm. The cells produced by the cork cambium or the phellogen on the outer side develops into the cork. Say the cork is impervious to water due to deposition of suberin. Say here the phellogen, that is the cork cambium is called as the phellogen, and the cork and the phelloderm together we call as the periderm. What is a periderm? Periderm is nothing but the cork and the cork cambium and the phelloderm the cork cambium and the cork together constitute the periderm. What is a bark? Bark is a non-technical term. All the tissues lying outside the vascular cambium is called the bark. Whatever the tissues that is present outside the vascular cambium, that is referred as the bark. Means it includes the secondary cortex, the phellogen, the phellem, and along with that it consisting of the secondary phloem that constitute the bark. The bark which is formed early in the season, that is called as early bark, or the soft bark, which is formed late in the season, that is called as the late bark or the hard bark. In certain regions, the phellogen cuts up the narrow band of parenchyma. So these parenchyma cells ruptures the epidermis and forms a lens-shaped opening in the older trees or the trees which has undergone secondary growth. That is what we called as the lenticels. What are lenticels? Lenticels are the lens-shaped opening present in the older stem. What is the functions of these lenticels? These lenticels helps in exchange of gases between the atmosphere and the internal tissues of the stem. So that is what we called as the lenticels. Let's study the secondary growth in dicot roots. So in case of the root, the secondary growth is similar as in case of dicot stem. How the cambium is produced in case of the root. Say the vascular cambium that is produced in the root, that is completely secondary in origin. The cells, that is the pericyclic cells below the phloem and above the protoxylem forms a wavy continuous ring that is called as the vascular cambium. The epidermis, the cortex, primary phloem and the cambial ring. How this cambial ring is produced? The cells below the phloem and above the protoxylem, that is the pericyclic cells below the phloem and above the protoxylem forms a wavy ring that is called as the vascular cambium, which later becomes circular and cuts off the cells on the inner side that develops into the secondary xylem, cuts off the cells on the outer side that develops into the secondary phloem. This is how the secondary growth takes place, that is in case of the roots. The secondary growth can also seen in gymnosperms, but the secondary growth is not there in case of the monocots. Thank you.